Yeah. Early morning, dude, the track is calling loud. Another sunrise mission standing out.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Wisdom of Coaches podcast, hosted by Legacy Track Club Coach Falting. Fresh off your not world tour, but the Heart of America tour. Is that what we were calling this?
The Height of America tour.
Height
We
of
uh
America
we
tour.
drove from Louisiana to Michigan and back over 6 days. So yeah, we I don't know if you want to. Yeah, I went with height. I thought about width, but height seemed to make more sense. But yeah, the Height of America tour.
That's almost, yeah, like in U.S. like geography, like there was the little elf that was like his boot was Louisiana and his like hat was like Michigan or Minnesota. Did they ever teach you that?
No, but I remember like the KFC guy, like where
Yeah,
like
yeah, that
he's
was the
holding
same thing.
the Kentucky Fried Chicken. Yeah,
Yeah,
that stuff.
same thing.
So we uh we hit a lot of those states that make that up. I think we drove through like 7 states when it was all said and done. We went to the NCAA track West Regionals in Fayetteville. We went to Dayton, Ohio for a minor league baseball game. We went and ran. Coach McGee, who's one of my best friends, and I went. He ran a half marathon in Ann Arbor, and I ran the 10K. That's right, people. I do actually run. And then we went to a wedding in Grand Rapids, and then brought our rear ends back home. Like 14 hours of driving the last day. So we spent 37 total hours in a car together, which I think really and truly only me and Coach McGee or me and you could pull that off successfully without murdering each other.
I was gonna say that'll test a marriage.
My wife told me she could not have done it. So, and I believe
I
her.
yeah, I've gone to Banff and Jasper and back with my wife, and we somehow we made it just fine. We did not get on each other's nerves too much. I'm sure there was a few times she probably was getting annoyed with me, but yeah, definitely being confined in tight spaces with anyone for a long period of time can get difficult.
Yeah. So, but it was a blast, and I don't take a lot of vacations, and so it was really cool. And the wedding was for like a former athlete of mine who just shot his shot. Like, Coach, I'm getting married in Grand Rapids. I'm sure you can't make it. And I just thought, hey McGee, you want to drive to Michigan? Let's see what happens. And we were there for him, and so that was really cool.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, I just got or I'm soon to be getting an invitation from a former slash current athlete for their wedding in February, which will actually be in Bossier. So, I was also basically told, hey, you probably can't make it. But was talking with my wife, and she was like, oh, we got to try to make it. So, we'll see what happens. But hopefully can come down there for that. It's always fun. This will be the first athlete slash student that I've had invite me to a wedding, and so I know you have been to several and even officiated some yourself.
That's true. So, and look, you're only going to get older. Like, I am currently coaching this season. It's the first time it's happened. I'm coaching former runners' children this season. So on the new cross country team, 2 kids that made the team, I coach their parents. So we're
Full
getting old
circle.
fast.
Yeah, it happens. Well, speaking of getting old, I think that segues perfectly into one of the first things that I wanted to talk about. So, doping. There's been you probably haven't heard of this too much because I would say this is this is a marathon. I was going to say the fringe sport of ultra running, but this actually deals with a marathon. And so, on this podcast, a couple of times we've talked about an individual, Truett Haynes, who, you may know as like the Gene guy. He runs, typically very fast marathons, 240s, 230s wearing jeans. I think he has run, I want to say in the low 230s. It was on a big downhill, I think the St. George Marathon, and he's attempting to qualify for the Olympic trials, which is like 216 at this point, I believe, for the men. It's getting quick. However, this deals with his father, Cameron Haynes, who is also a runner, ultra runner, bow hunting influencer, which I did not know that was a thing before this story broke. Who is
Best
also
selling
very,
author.
best-selling author.
And so
Yeah.
I got two of his books.
Podcaster,
Yeah.
and so both of these individuals actually did the Leadville Marathon this past year with me. Both of them beat me, so that's how it goes. But Cameron Haynes kind of known for his Keep Hammering podcast and his merchandise, which I think it says stuff like "No one cares, work harder, keep hammering," and kind of that line of thought. But he posted, I guess, an Instagram comment saying that he confirmed usage of a banned peptide that is a WADA banned peptide, World Anti-Doping Agency. And this all came about because at the age of 58, he recently ran 2:39:11 for the Eugene Marathon, set a huge PR, won the Masters division. And this was a USATF championship event that he went and won this Masters division. And it kind of came out there's another runner, Sage Kennedy, who is I do not believe an Olympian, but I know he has placed like top 20 at Boston Marathon. He's won Leadville, is a pretty big presence in the sport. He's a Hoka sponsored athlete. Questioned him on Instagram about this, and Haynes was like, "Yeah," and I use this, and it's still up. Apparently, the post he didn't go rush to take it down. He just said, "Hey, I took this banned peptide," and there's been a huge controversy over this, and kind of two main points are the two things that I would like to discuss, not necessarily just around this, but I think on the whole. The first is the point, and this is something both Cam Haynes and his followers have both said, is he's not a professional, so this doesn't matter. And then the second point is, well, he used this 2 years ago in 2024. So what effect does this have on his race in 2026? And I had never heard of this peptide. I looked it up, and essentially it just is for injury rehabilitation and longevity. So it's not the human growth hormone. It's not testosterone, although there is, if you've seen Cameron Haynes, he is a very muscular individual at his age. So there is, of course, going to be, a lot of speculation that maybe this isn't the only thing he has taken, but this is the only thing that has been confirmed. Um, so yeah, had you heard of any of this? Any clue any of this is going on?
No, I had no idea. I will say a couple of things. Whether you're a professional or not, if you run in certain US ATF sanctioned events, if you win it, they're going to do some kind of doping test on you, so there should be some evidence there at some point once those tests get run, whether or not, he had anything in the system at the moment of running and winning that. Now if you don't want to be a professional and you don't want to run USATF stuff, no one's ever going to test you on any of this stuff. The guy who runs the Shreveport Firecracker 5K or the Log Jammer half marathon, they're not getting tested. And if somebody's going to compete like that, more power to them, I guess. And then, the other thing with, taking something 2 years ago, I do think that there are some things that athletes have taken 2 years ago that have given them a decided advantage even later on after they have gotten off of it. And so do I know if this peptide did it? No. And I'm sure there are some things that are banned that probably don't have some sort of long-term lasting effect. But when I look at these people that got busted for like steroid usage, and they're like, "Oh, you're banned for 2 years, and then you can come back." I still feel like they gained an advantage of that. I'm a
Yeah.
huge CrossFit fan, and Ricky Gerard came on the scene as a rookie and got second or third in his first ever CrossFit championships, and then promptly got busted for a ton of anabolic steroids that he was using, and so he got banned for several years. Well, then when he comes back, he immediately gets on the podium again, and a lot of the athletes have debated, like, well, even though he was now off of the steroids, did that do something to his body to change it such a way that he's going to still get some advantage from that? So I'm not sure if the time away from it, matters in my mind.
Yeah, I 100% agree, and that's been my point. I was having this discussion with a friend on a run this weekend, and kind of the second point, the drug itself. People. It's funny just scrolling through the comments because people are like, "Oh, this is just to help recovery. It doesn't matter." And I'm like, "No, but that does matter. Like, if I can take something and recover quick, EPO is really just about recovery in the grand scheme of things. It's about increasing your, red blood cell count, which in effect is like carrying oxygen to your muscles, which is it's not necessarily boosting your muscular performance, it's just getting more oxygen to your muscles so that they can perform. If you can go from 3 sessions a week to 4 sessions a week, that's a competitive advantage that others aren't going to have. So the whole logic of like, oh, it's just for rehabilitation recovery, I don't buy that. My other thing is exactly what you're saying is a lot of these things, even if taken 2, 4, 6 years ahead of time, it kind of raises your floor, essentially. So if I take EPO for 2 or 3 years, I'm essentially going to get to a level that I could not have gotten to without the EPO. And almost in any sport, especially stuff like running, weightlifting, CrossFit, stuff like that, it's so much easier to maintain a fitness level than it is to build to a new fitness level. So, there's no great way to explain this, but if my floor normally is I can only get to a 3 hour marathon, and then I took all this stuff and I get down to a 2:45 marathon, even if I stop taking that, I'm probably not going to drop back down to a 3 hour marathon immediately. I'm probably going to maybe dip a little bit, but I'm going to be able to hold that performance. And so that's why kind of the timing doesn't hold water. And I'm sure that's a lot why WADA and some of these other ones are kind of stringent with that stuff. The band's always, we're going to talk about kind of something with this because we're going to discuss the enhanced games next. The band's always I kind of laugh at because then to me it's just like they're not going to test you during that time because you're no longer eligible. From my understanding, you're no longer eligible to compete. So they're just like, all right. And so like to me, it's like, cool, I'm just going to go dope for a year and a half, get clean before I come back to the sport and then we'll go from there, which is, probably happening. I won't say surely is happening, but I imagine there's more than one individual who has realized like, oh, this is just if I'm banned, I'm banned. Um, to get back to your first point, again, it was a USATF championship event. He did win the Masters division. Did he win money? I don't think so. And that's kind of his point. I'm not a professional athlete. This doesn't affect me that way. But I think a couple of things that's a slippery slope. One, and this is maybe more of like kind of the moral and ethical things, your performance does financially impact him because like if he goes out and runs a 2:39 marathon at 58, people are like, wow, look at this guy. He's selling more books. He's selling more merchandise. More people are going to listen to his podcast. That's a financial incentive. So he may not be a professional athlete in the way of like he's getting on the podium at the Olympics. He's getting sponsored by Nike or something like that. But to say that there's no financial gain for him to take this stuff and perform better, that's a little bit of a like false assumption. The other thing is, and somebody I actually comment, generally don't comment, and somebody was like, he wasn't even competing. And I was like, the man won the Masters division at a USATF event and like ran 10 minutes faster than he had ever ran. Like, define not competing. Like, I've never gone out and tried the PR and been like, oh, I'm not competing. Like,
So,
you were
so
competing.
Cameron Haynes has a thing he does. It's called Run, Shoot, Lift. He invites people to come out to his ranch,
Yeah.
and they lift heavy weights. They shoot bows and arrows, and then they run basically the equivalent of a marathon up and down this mountain. And so in my mind, if you just wanted to say, "Hey, I can run that fast," and these peptides, help me or whatever, then just go do something like that and time it
Yeah.
get a film crew out there or something like that. But no, like to sign up for like a legit race. And again, the actual USATF championship race, of all the races, like, there's not another marathon going on anywhere like remotely near you that has nothing affiliated with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you signed up to compete. Like that
Yeah.
that was definitely what happened there.
Yeah. And, to that point, Leadville is not a drug tested event. Lance Armstrong rides his bike at the Leadville 100 quite frequently. Lance Armstrong is not allowed to compete at it's not, USATF or biking, but any like biking sanctioned event because he's been banned for drug, but he can go ride Leadville because Leadville doesn't care. Same thing with this. A lot of people even said like, hey, he's run Cocodona, which is a drug tested event. He's run Javelina 100, which is a drug tested event. In fact, last year, David Roche won Leadville, set the record, and then went and ran Javelina. And he said part of the reason he went and ran Javelina was so he would be drug tested, so that people would not be able to say, oh, he won this because he was doing drugs, which we could get into all the like that could still happen. Not that I think he's on drugs, but a 6 month gap or 4 month gap like that allows stuff to get out of your system. But yeah, there are plenty of races you could do if that was the case where they're not in any way, shape, or form affiliated with USATF. They're not drug tested events. But to say like, oh, I didn't win any, because my thing, the slippery slope, like 10th place at the Olympics can be like, oh, I didn't get in the top three. I wasn't competing. Like, what does it matter if I like, at what
Right.
point do we start drawing the line? And people are like, well, maybe that person's sponsored. There's like an unsponsored guy just like won a major marathon. I can't remember which one it was, but like some unsponsored runner just went out and ran like sub 210. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah, the Notre Dame guy.
yeah,
Like,
it's like that guy's not sponsored. He's not a professional athlete, quote unquote. So like, does he get to say he can take whatever he wants? Because
I,
flimsy
I think
arguments.
I think the most shocking part of this story is I really thought Sage Kennedy was a female runner this entire time.
Sage is not a female runner. Sage is, he's a character. He's very active. Somebody who has very much taken to social media to build up his following and stuff like that. A very accomplished runner. He's a little, I would say, quirky. I did look at
Right.
him and I believe his partner provide coaching. I have looked into it. It was very expensive, which, hey, more power to him. I think they're signed up and, he's had several kind of online spats. I think he had one potentially with David Roche where he was just like, oh, this guy is claiming he's giving you custom coaching things, but he has 100 something athletes, so there's no way he's giving you custom coaching. We only accept this many athletes. And he didn't name names. And for a while here, he wasn't naming Cam Hanes. He was just like, some runner is claiming they're doping. And he actually filed a appeal with WADA over this, like sent it in, which you know,
So, for the record, people, to go along with this, you can hire the Legacy Track Club at a very affordable price to coach you, and they are all customized plans, both to the individual or if you are a high school or middle school coach and need a training plan for your team, we customize those completely down to what days you meet with your team and where.
that's
So
it for
affordable,
1/3 of the
customized
cost.
training, we can take care of that for you rather easily, uh, as opposed to going with Sage.
That's it. Well, let's segue off this. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it kind of perfectly goes into the next things. I'm assuming you have heard of the enhanced games.
Yeah, I sure have. I was looking forward to Fred Curley, breaking the world record in the 100, only to hear him come out a couple days before and go, "Hey guys, I'm in the enhanced games, but I'm not enhanced. So when I break this world record, you just know I did not do steroids to get there." At which point my brain went to, this guy's not too confident that he's going to set this world record, and so he's trying to walk this thing back a little bit. But yeah, I was all excited about Vegas putting this thing together, and then it happened.
It was let's call it what it was, a flop. It was one event away from being a downright disgrace, and I think they said that it was this is some billionaire put this on with a bunch of other individuals, and they came out and they were promising the world. They were promising us the world records. They were going to give away all this money. And I believe the world records specifically for like the 100 meter and then like the 50 meter freestyle for swimming were like the big ones that like, oh, someone's going to crack these, we're going to give them $1 million and all this stuff. And the only one that went down was the 50 meter freestyle, a Greek swimmer. I'm not even gonna Christian something. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that because I will butcher it. He did win and set the world record in the 50 meter freestyle, getting a $1 million bonus. So this swimmer was admittedly enhanced, shall we say. He was also wearing an illegal swimsuit. So I think it was Sydney Olympics. They brought out these new swimsuits and everyone was breaking world records left and
Yeah.
right. Something about how they cut through the water, and they have since banned those swimsuits. I kind of find this funny because they banned those swimsuits because they were like, these are too good. No one will ever touch these records. And I believe most of those records have been broken since
Correct.
then, which is kind of goes to show like when people talk about super shoes and they're like, oh, the competitive advantage. I don't know that someone's going to go out and run sub two without a pair of super shoes, but like once that bar has been set, people are going to go and like find a way to beat that. So, yeah, he was wearing a band swimsuit. He was the only person who broke the record. Which at that point, like the organizer had to just breathe a sigh of relief because if they had had zero world record set at this enhanced games, I mean that would have just been a commercial flop, even more so than it was. They had a lot of different stuff I was looking up. They said that they figured. I think 91% of people were using testosterone, 79% human growth hormone, 62% using stimulants like Adderall. But yeah, three of four, there was four individuals who entered who were saying that they are clean. We'll just say that because I'm a little bit of a skeptic sometimes. And three of those four won their event, Fred Curley being one of them. I believe a female sprinter as well won hers. It doesn't have it pulled up here on my screen at the moment. So, yeah, it's very funny for somebody to come in and be like, I'm going to race these enhanced game people clean and I'm going to crush them.
Yeah.
Um, I
Well,
do, go ahead.
it's been an interesting journey for Fred Curley. He did really really well in the last Olympics, and then kind of got in a lot of legal trouble for a bunch of different things and stuff, and kind of looked like he was a guy that was not going to be representing the U.S. much longer. And so, like, he was one of the original people that jumped on this enhanced games thing. I mean, like over a year ago. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going for it. And then I think that he has started kind of shifting back to, I think I can make one more Olympics. And because of that, his entire tone shifted leading up to this, where he's like, look, I'm completely clean. I'm going in clean. I want to go after, LA 28. And these are all the things that you need to say to even remotely get considered for LA 28, and stuff. But that doesn't replace the fact that, the last Olympics was, 2.5 years ago, and he's had some time to join the enhanced games, get unenhanced like we were talking about in the previous thing, and then
Yeah.
go for it. But yeah, after all of that, I'm not sure enhanced or unenhanced he's going to make the Olympics anyway. I think a kid in high school in Texas ran faster than what he ran at the enhanced games, this season. And so like, I mean, all that work for nothing, basically.
Yeah, I almost, this may be a little bit of a controversial statement. I almost wish that the enhanced games had done better than it did because I'm afraid the takeaway here is going to be that, oh, this is showing that this doesn't matter that much. These unenhanced athletes beat the enhanced athletes, so we shouldn't care quite as much. I'm hoping that's not what is taken away from this. Also there's a lot of people who are like, oh, this is a great idea because now like people, who are doping can go to this. And my argument's going to be, but they're not going to like, right?
Right.
Like what they're going to do is they're going to try to pass as a clean athlete and then they're going to get busted and then they're going to go to the enhanced games
Yeah.
afterwards,
Right.
which to me, it's like if the enhanced games had any guts whatsoever, they would say if you have been banned from sanctioned races for doping, you cannot come to us because the whole point of this is like, no, look how good these people are. But to me, like, if you were trying to skirt the system and go pass yourself off as clean, then you shouldn't get to compete doped. Like,
Right.
you sacrifice that. You should either compete as doped, bodybuilding or excuse me, powerlifting is a great example of this. Like, if you go like look at a powerlifting competition entry form, a lot of them will have like clean,
Oh
haven't
yeah.
used steroids in 6 months. Haven't used steroids in a year. Haven't used steroids in two, like they literally have levels on this. And I'm not going to say I agree with that, but like in a certain way, it's like, hey, and I guarantee you there's some guy who's used them in the past 6 months who's going to try to enter the clean and people are going to try to step up because like, hey, this gives me an advantage and opportunity. And some people are going to try to use any advantage or opportunity they can to their to win, and then if they don't, then or they're found out, then they move down. So, yeah, that's something I see, I've heard people say like, oh, this is going to clean up sports. I don't think it's going to clean up sports. I think it just provides an outlet for people who have gotten banned from sports to go to after the fact.
I mean, name five people that ran in the enhanced games. Like you can't,
No.
Now go back and I mean, there's been more than five people that have received bans in the last 5 months that are
Yeah.
elite distance runners. So like, what I'm saying. So like, it doesn't really work. Now they did come back and they've now offered $10 million if somebody will go in the enhanced games and break the 100. So I have a feeling we're about to see more people go and do this because it is $10 million.
Yeah.
But again, um, I don't think they're going to get what they're hoping to get out of it until they get somebody who's like currently in their prime, like to be willing to admit, hey, I'm using enhancements and now I'm going after this.
Yeah.
If they're going to get 35-year-old sprinters to go out there and just purposely dope for a year to go after it, they're not going to do it. I mean, and again, like that gives credence to the argument that maybe that they don't work. And it's like, well, it's because of who they're working. Like if I took steroids right now, at age 45, like would I be able to increase, how much I lift or how fast I run and stuff? Yeah. Am I ever going to catch up with somebody, that's elite in their 20s? It doesn't matter what the crap I put in my body. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Um, I think a more fun route might be because after I suffered through this 10K in Ann Arbor, that ended with the last 800 meters up a hill. So whoever worships Satan that created that course, but I think we should have something that's like the truly unenhanced games, like just the most out of shape people competing for money in something, and sign me up.
So we've talked about this at work, and I may have talked about this on the podcast before, but we think that the Olympics should be like jury duty, where essentially like your
Yes.
country just like it's a poll, and so like Kemp Faulting, congratulations, you're going to be doing the 800-meter run. You have 6 months. You get to take off work and train, and then like you're going to represent the United States, and and we can have medical exemptions if someone's like, hey, I can't pole vault, I have a whatever. But like that would be so much better. And that would kind of be like, hey, which country is like kind of the fittest in general, right? Like not like the cream of the crop of each country, but like just your average Joes,
So
like
do you remember this? I think it was from the Paris Olympics, if not, it was the one right before it. But every country has to be represented in the Olympics. They're allowed to
mm,
be, and so there's a small amount of events that you can send somebody in to represent your country. And so you can the 100-meter sprints. All right, so there's a prelim for the 100 that you can go. Any country could send somebody, and you'll see they do these terrible prelims, like no Americans are in it, and they're all racing for the chance to just get into the first round of the 100.
yeah.
Well, the 50-meter freestyle swim is also one of those events. And a country sent a man who had never swum to represent them in the 50-meter freestyle. And so during that event, all of the other contestants that were in his heat, like basically didn't dive in the water when he dove in the water. They gave him a chance to go and swim and like complete this prelim because he had never swam in his life. So, yeah. So I want more of that,
That's another thing where, and this is something I've heard people say that basically the same thing. We need normal people to be added to an event to really get, because like you watch the 100 and you're like, oh, okay, like I mean they were all, within a step of each other. And you throw me in the 100 with them and I'm at like the 60 and those guys are all finishing and you're like, oh, like that's how much better than like the average person these guys are. Like,
yeah. So like in the 10K I ran, it was an out and back. So you go out 5K, turn around, come back 5K. All right. They also had a 5K that started at the out 5K. And so they started my race at 7:15. They started the 5K at 8:30. I had an hour and 15-minute head start on these people, and there were 5K people that passed me. so, and so, I mean, that puts it in perspective really quickly, the difference between like good athletes and average Joes.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it would be awesome to see that on that kind of level.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, enhanced games, not the greatest thing. I'm just getting my notification. We got about 10 minutes left here, 9 minutes before Zoom kicks us off. We did have last time we had a podcast, we had a couple of runners who were competing over the weekend. So, do we
Oh
discuss
my gosh.
Brennan and Allison?
Those are two home runs that happened right after we got
Two
off of the
home runs.
podcast.
I
Um,
misspoke. I told us that Allison was running on Sunday and she ran on Saturday. You never know with marathons these days. Well, some are Sunday, some are Saturday.
we filmed it on like a Friday afternoon, and like four
Yeah.
hours later, Brennan Robin runs 8:46 for 3,200 meters. 8:46 is ridiculous. It was a 7-second PR for him. He finished second in the nation at Running Lane Nationals. And I mean, just completely blew us away. And then you go to sleep and you wake up a couple hours later, and here's Allison running a marathon, and she runs 2:40, gets a 4-minute PR on the marathon, qualifies for the USATF Marathon Championships that are going to be at CIM in Sacramento in December, I believe.
December,
Uh,
yeah, first weekend
yeah,
in December.
so one person served it up, and the other one was like, "Hold my beer, I'm gonna
That's
follow
it.
suit." So
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
I'll have some company at CIM, although in two very separate waves.
You better hope your wave starts second, because
No, it will be.
you're gonna get passed by her if you start
It,
first.
hey, that'd be perfectly fine by me. There are some races they do where they'll start like the faster runners later, kind of handicap races, and then you have to pass the people in front of you and stuff like. But yeah, I mean, incredible performances over that weekend. It was just great to see. Always great to see legacy track club athletes just going out there and killing it. And I was not really surprised by either of them. I knew both of them were more than capable of doing what they did, and it's just always great. The tough thing with distance running is you can put in, especially stuff like the marathon, you can put in a ton of work and just have an off day and miss your time by a few minutes. But both of them went out there and just absolutely crushed it when the chips were down and whenever it was time for them to do their thing. So yeah, looking forward. Allison will run that in December and go to that 2:37 for the Olympic trials qualifier. And then yeah, Brendan's got his whole senior season ahead of him, and
Yeah,
I'm
he
sure.
started cross country training officially this week after taking a small little break, and we're going to build it back up. And we're not really worried about cross country or indoor track; those are fun things, but all that is going to be a really, really large base for Operation Sub 4. We're going to see if we can have the first kid in Louisiana history to break 4 minutes in the mile when we get to outdoor next year. So pretty
I
excited.
I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe you're not, but the second Louisiana, if he, assuming he does it in Louisiana, which maybe not, would be only the second Louisiana runner to run under 4 minutes on Louisiana
Correct. So
soil, I
only one
believe.
Louisiana born runner has broken 4 minutes in Louisiana in the history of the state, and he did it after college.
Hmm.
So
Jarrett
Jared
LeBlanc, I
LeBlanc.
believe, right? Yep.
So
Runner
team
up at the Firecracker last year, from what I saw.
Yeah, Team Levy Breakers is he's got a real catchy name. I'm a big fan of it. Yeah, Team Levy Breaker went against Legacy Track Club, and I think he won it. We went second and third last year in the Firecracker with Brennan and Gabe. So good little time there, and yeah, so it's exciting that he could be making some just bona fide history. He's the fastest junior in Louisiana history in both the mile and the 2 mile already. So, and he's completely shattered the Parkway school records from when he got here.
Yeah, I remember when I started there, it was Joey Lanzalotti. I don't remember what his 2 mile time was or 3,200 time.
9:31, and
Yeah.
it seemed
And
untouchable.
I remember you told me you're like, no one's ever breaking that because that was from like, I don't know, the 90s or 80s or something.
1998 or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
And you're like, no one's ever touching this. And now I feel pretty safe in saying that these records are going to be there for a little while.
the fact that he could still lower it for another year is impressive. But again, like teammates are getting to run with him, so they're seeing this. Like we had another kid break Joey's record this year. Ben Rulifson went 9:22, knocked 20 seconds off his 2-mile time. Just training with Brennan, and he didn't even shake his about it. Like he wasn't like, oh, I just broke the record. Like he didn't even care. And so Brennan's got a huge group of guys on the team this year that I think are going to jump on the same thing. We're going to look up and be like, dang, we got multiple Parkway kids running 9-minute 2 miles and 4:0 somethings.
Like we said, the bar gets raised, people move up to it. Once people see, oh, that this can be done, they're gonna sub 4 mile, right? Could never be done. One person does it, and now you got high schoolers doing it, with some regularity. Well, the last thing before we hop off is just a little heads up to you. I signed up for the Firecracker this week.
Now we're talking.
So unless something crazy happens, I will be Legacy Track Club will have one more athlete there toeing the line with them for the Firecracker 5K.
You beat Declan is the question. Declan is now training as a freshman at Parkway High School. Like, who wins that 5K?
I was trying. So for those who don't know, I'm trying to make this quick. Coach Falting and I used to always do these crazy bets when they're, and it'd be like, oh, one time I bet him the girls soccer team was doing 100-meter sprints and they were doing like 20 seconds, and I think I mouthed off that I could do that backwards, and so Coach Falting would always turn to me and be like, "You want to bet breakfast over it?" And so we would go to breakfast every Friday with another group of coaches, and so that was a common theme was, "Oh, do you want to bet breakfast over if you can do this?" And I won that bet, and I was thinking the other day, should I be like, "Oh, maybe I can beat one of these runners," so. You know what? This is maybe this will be a breakfast bet. I'll have to head out not long after Firecracker. I'll be driving part of the way back. But maybe that's our bet for this time.
That's fine. Let's do it. I'm betting on Deck for the brick.
All right. Declan hates me too, so he'll probably use that motivation to beat me. He'll be used to the heat. I'll be used to the hills. It'll be a good matchup.
Love it.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. We'll be sure the right after the 4th of July to let everyone know that this is gonna be the grudge match of the season. I can't wait for Gabe to create some graphics that about this, the Mortal Kombat style. Just
love it.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the award-winning Wisdom of Coaches podcast, hosted by the Legacy Track Club. Coach Falting, as always, thank you for your time. And we will, be sure to check us out on our website, on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube and Spotify for the podcast. So thanks so much, everybody, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Laces tied up tight, the rhythm starts to flow. Hear the heartbeat drumming, watch our dedication grow. Oh, legacy, running through the night, chasing down the sunrise, fading golden light. Every step a story, every